Beat the cookie apocalypse with SMS marketing.
You're listening to the Keep Optimizing podcast to increase your traffic, improve your conversion rates, and grow your profits.
Hello and welcome. I'm Chloe Thomas, the host of this marketing focus podcast. And if you're not familiar with our format, each month we focus on a different marketing method. Could be email or SEO or Facebook ads. And each week I interview a different marketing method expert to explore the latest advice on making it work for you. This month, rather than diving into a specific marketing method, we're all about the biggest challenge going on in e-commerce marketing at the moment, which is dealing with life after the cookie apocalypse. Our post-cookie marketing, what does it look like? What should we be doing? And across this month, we are these 4 episodes. We are diving into it from different angles. So in the last episode, you heard Ben Parr from Octane talking about zero-party data. What is it? How do you get it? How do you use it? Why is it so unbelievably cool? And in this episode, we are getting into SMS marketing, because if we're not doing a whole lot of stuff with cookies, we need to be using data we actually own that no one can take away from us. And SMS is one of those types of data. So that's what we're exploring today. How to use it, what's working well, what to be aware of. Lots of tips and tricks coming up, as well as some great resources for those of you considering giving it a go this year, which I think it probably should be on all your test lists for this year. Plus, we've also got tips on how to gain those SMS numbers so you can actually start sending some messages as well. We're going to meet today's guest expert and go through all of that in a moment. Before we do, though, please do check out our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Klaviyo, the email and SMS marketing platform that helps you send messages like an e-commerce expert, even if you're just getting started. Create your free account at klaviyo.com/masterplan. That's klaviyo.com/masterplan. Today, I'm chatting with SMS marketing expert Elena Kostova. Elena has spent the last few years helping retailers and brands leverage the power of SMS, yes, text marketing, in their marketing and customer communications plans. Hello, Elena.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. SMS is a marketing method I am fascinated by, and I hope the audience are too. So I'm really excited to talk about it with you, because we've done a couple of episodes on it, but it's still something I think a lot of people are getting to grips with. So it's great to have you here to take us through it. How did you end up in kind of the cutting edge world of SMS marketing?
Well, I have to be honest that curiosity is what drove me to the channel. Like, as a millennial myself, when I heard that SMS is used as a marketing channel for that people can sell through it and communicate with customers in the 21st century, I was like, I don't get it. Like, it's really weird. But then when I got into the details and understanding how the channel actually works, how engaging it is, I really fell in love with it. It's everything people like nowadays. It's short, it's really concise, and it really helps you bring up the message right away without all the fluff. So I was really curious in the beginning, and now I just love it. I'm here to see how it evolves further with technology and with the current trends that we're seeing.
It sounds like you're on the journey that I know a lot of e-commerce business marketers are on, which is, I see good case studies. I'm a bit scared of using it. I don't really understand how this works. Do we just use it like email? What do we do? And we're going to get into lots of that shortly. But obviously, this is part of our series on how to survive the cookie apocalypse. So why would you say SMS is a way we can go about keeping our sales levels up, keeping our marketing happening, keeping our customer in touch with our customers whilst the cookie apocalypse is happening? What does SMS bring to the table?
When we are talking about the cookie apocalypse, it's really about, almost the destruction of the third-party data, and, which really brings out the importance of using first or zero-party data. And email and SMS are actually one of the two most valuable first-party data, points that we have for each of our customers. So in that sense, SMS is really a great channel to reach out to your audience. Having in mind that it's, first of all, it's really highly regulated. And this is, for me, it's really, really funny because a lot of people perceive it as a spammy channel. But in a way, it's one of the most highly regulated marketing channels that there are out there. And actually, because of that, all of the merchants are on the safe side, looking at what happened with the iOS changes 14, iOS changes 15. We realized that we are really moving into that direction where the privacy of the personal data is getting more and more important and more regulated. So being on a channel that's already serving on that is a really great and safe way to go, especially and to invest in your future of your business. So because of that, SMS, it's really a personalized channel. So it allows you to collect first-party data, and also to expand it. And here I have a really great example by one of our brands, American Hat Makers. For example, what they do is once you're signing up for their SMS marketing program, they're like, hey, welcome, but please tell us more about yourself. Tell us what you like so we can send you relevant offers. So depending on what you actually reply to them, like what you're interested in, this is like you're automatically added to a group, and you know that you're going to receive relevant offers, product launches, and information about exactly that group. So it really helps you bring this high level of personalization that we kind of got really accustomed with back then with third-party data. So you can really easily achieve that with SMS. On top of that, I think what's really important is that this channel is still not too highly saturated, meaning that not too many businesses are using it, but at the same time, we are seeing that consumers are starting to adopt it really highly. So around 87% of people are actually already signed up to receive SMS marketing messages from brands, which means that consumers themselves are really expecting brands to communicate with that channel. What we are seeing from our data is that messages actually do get seen. We are seeing that around 90% of the messages are actually going to be read within the first 3 minutes. So it's a really great channel to spark immediate action. So, thinking of trigger-based messages and those really quick flash sales, like that's a really great channel to communicate on.
You've given us so much there, and I love it. It strikes me that there is such opportunity with SMS. And in some ways, I'm really pleased that a lot of people haven't yet started using it, because having seen, been an email marketer for nearly 20 years now, I've seen how that channel has kind of been abused a bit, to the point where, most people see it as spam. I don't think anyone, very few people would reply to a marketing email from a brand, but it feels like we've learned everything we got wrong with email or abused with email, and we're bringing that to SMS to use the channel in the right way. So I love that, you're recommending asking for responses from people. So it's that kind of two-way comms channel, so we can build the personalization in. I love that, it's quite clear from what you've been saying, and we'll probably get into this a bit more later, that it's not a channel where we just copy and paste what we do on email. We don't go, there's our email welcome campaign. Well, let's take the subject lines and copy the send frequency and put that into an SMS welcome campaign. Job done. It requires a very unique approach, correct for that marketing method, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, I know it sounds funny, but as marketers out there and as people doing SMS marketing, I really believe it's also on us. It's our responsibility to actually drive just the best practices in the industry. As you said, don't over spam people. Don't send 1,000 messages. Use this. I almost always joked saying that this channel should be used. SMS marketing should be perceived as a channel that you're going to text your ex. So you want to just send the message that really matters. So, you don't need to send all the fluff. You don't need to send messages every 2-3 days. Make sure that you build really meaningful strategy where you have your really well-timed trigger-based messages or automated messages, and then you mix it up with campaigns here and there, but when it really makes sense. And to what you just said, like about how it differs from our email marketing communication, I think a lot of people confuse themselves by thinking that it should be either or. I think the power of SMS comes when it's used together with email. Like it really, supplements your already existing communications, making sure that you're reaching people on the most optimal channels, and that you actually use the channels on the most optimal way. Like I love email for allowing you to really bring the life of your and the soul of your company with words. Like emails are a really great way to show off your brand and what you stand for. But with SMS, you have 200 characters to really bring your message in front of the customer. So there, it's really about sparking instant action, like letting them know why you actually send that text. So it's a really different means that you'd use the channels for.
I like the way you compare it to how you'd use it to communicate with other people, because it's almost like email is your like random Facebook post of what's going on and passively telling people the story of what you're up to and all the rest of it. Whereas your text messages are fish and chips for tea, or I'll see you at the cinema at 5. So it makes sense that as a brand, you'd be going, today only, money off this. It's like an immediate thing. It lasts for seconds. People are immediately interested, or it's a back in stock message, or it's delivery updates. It's those things you need to cut through all the noise and get the message to you. You mentioned a couple of times triggered or automated campaigns. What are the key ones you would recommend people running with SMS? What works best?
I'll start with my personal favorite one. That's the abandoned cart reminder. I think that's also the first automation that comes to mind when people think of SMS marketing. It just works. It's really great to see. And I think the reason for that is SMS is so instant, it's so engaging that you really get the consumer while they're in that purchasing mode. Like they still remember your website. So just shooting a quick message to them that they're gonna see, as we heard the statistics of 90% in 3 minutes, really ensures that you actually grab their attention and you most probably make the sale. Another really successful automation is the win back. Like basically when customers haven't purchased in some time, that you kind of remind them about your brand, about what you have to offer. And not to mention the really typical transactional messages. I think SMS is one really great channels to send them updates about the orders. So, the moment someone creates an order, the moment the order has been shipped, like it's a really great feature that you can even offer the tracking number. So they just, need to click and just see where their order is right now.
And we know on email that automations can drive an awful lot of money, but so can our broadcast campaigns. And you mentioned a couple of examples of, the day sale alert and that sort of thing with SMS. Is there that dual role of kind of like the blanket message to everyone, the broadcast message, as well as the triggered or automated messages? Or is it less balanced in the world of SMS in that 80% of what you're going to do is automated and then you occasionally do a non-automated?
When people are starting with SMS, I always was advised to really start slowly because it's also teaching your audience what to expect. So I always advise for them to start slowly with trigger-based messages, and then with time to progress with more one-off campaigns or like with SMS blasts. Definitely trigger-based messages should be the focus, just because they're, in the end of the day, you get the highest ROI of them because they really correspond to customer activity. But one-off campaigns are equally important because you have those people that don't necessarily do something in your website, don't interact with your brand, and you want to keep yourself top of mind, especially nowadays that we have this saturation of brands, of advertisements everywhere. You need to make sure that you also build a really sophisticated communication strategy also in the one-off space. So there, what I would advise is use events that are relevant to you. So for example, I don't know, if you're in cosmetics and there is a lipstick day, make sure you launch sale for lipstick day, or with now upcoming Valentine's Day, make sure that when you're sending your email campaign around Valentine's Day, shoot an SMS around it as well. Like maybe you don't need to remind them 1 week in advance, because we know this channel is really sparks immediate action. But the moment the sale starts, let them know as well.
I like that. I like the Valentine's Day. I think that last minute, remember, today's get your order in today if you order it on time. Perfect example of using SMS. And I also like, you said about get your audience, your customer base used to receiving the messages by focusing on the triggers and the automations, depending on what you want to call it, to begin with, and then start the blasts. I think that's also quite good because it gives you time to build up your list, because you mentioned, the level of regulation, which I believe is slightly greater than it is even with email. So it's not like you can go and just plumb your database for random, mobile numbers you may have picked up in the past. Most businesses are starting from zero when they start collecting this data. So if we've got the triggers, then that it kind of looks after itself until there's enough volume for it to be worth us doing blasts. So I guess, how do we start gathering SMS from our SMS numbers from our audience?
That's a great question. I think the most important point of when you're starting with SMS marketing is to map out all the main touch points with your audience, be it social, email, website. The great thing about SMS and Yahoo SMS Bump in particular is that you can utilize a lot of different subscription methods, like that are really tailored to your strategy. So you can, let's say, you can create giveaways on social media and ask people to join your SMS marketing club by texting a keyword, or by just swiping up on a link. You can let your email subscribers know that you're starting up a new SMS program and that they can join as well. You can also use pop-ups on your website. So really think where your customers are and just use the right tools to collect SMS subscribers. Like they're all available.
So there's both that, just putting it everywhere where you might collect it anyway, our normal pop-ups, our normal sign-up forms, but also a few great tips there for how we can accelerate both the initial sign up, I suppose, by emailing our email list. Would you also like SMS updates? But I love that, running a competition on social, and the way to enter the competition is to give us our SMS, which, then not only tells you, a little bit of personalization data because they signed up to this competition to win this lipstick rather than, that pair of shoes or whatever it may be. But it gives us a way of quickly growing that list too. So some great tips there. Now, Elena, I am not an expert in SMS marketing. So what other things should our audience know about before they start with SMS?
For me, one of the greatest tips I can give around SMS marketing is to just not be afraid. What's the really cool thing about SMS marketing? It's a new channel. There are no rules. You can do whatever you feel that's going to work well for your brand. You can be super creative. You can use a really strong slang in it, and you can really show off your personality with the messages. And just because there's no right and wrong, it's still a little bit of uncharted territory. And what I'm seeing is actually the most successful brands that do SMS marketing are the brands that dare to be more risky, to show off their personality and talk as if it's like one-on-one. The founder talks directly to the consumer. The second thing is just SMS, as we already said, it's a regulated channel, which also means that inside the tools themselves, they prevent you of not making mistakes. You have SMS graders that help you analyze the success of your message. You'll have things like quiet hours that make sure that you're not, bothering people in, 4 a.m. You also have even such, built-in features that allow you to not send too many messages. Like you have the so-called smart send that tells you, hey, you already sent 1 or 2 messages to that user yesterday. Like make sure you don't go crazy with it. So I think that really creates this safe environment for everyone who's new to SMS marketing and is scared to give it a try, to just, install it in a few seconds and actually start, collecting subscribers, start sending some automated messages. And then after time, when they feel more comfortable, they can, launch also one-off campaigns and really adapt the channel best to their needs.
I love that. Thank you, Elena. We are now going to pause for a reminder of our sponsors, and then we're going to talk about the wider world of SMS marketing. Getting an online business off the ground isn't easy. So if you find yourself working late, tackling a to-do list that's a mile long with your 5th cup of coffee by your side, remember, great email doesn't have to be complicated. That's what Klaviyo is for. It's the email and SMS platform built to help e-commerce brands earn more money by creating genuine customer relationships. Get started with a free account at klaviyo.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Okay, Elena, so far we've gone deep into SMS marketing. Now you get to us with your insider knowledge about the whole world of post-cookie marketing. So for the following questions, your answer can be anything to do with post-cookie marketing, which of course does include SMS marketing. Elena, are you ready for these?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Okay, let's start with post-cookie marketing newbie advice. If we've inspired someone to take their first step with SMS marketing today, what do they need to know to give themselves the best chance of success?
So, as I just mentioned, I think be brave and use the channel as creatively as you see fit for your brand. Don't be afraid to show off who you are as a company. The second tip is to, as we already just said, to make sure that you are using all the customer touch points to expose your audience to your SMS platform. It's really important when you're building up your list to really be where your customers are and just always add some value. I think one thing that we learned from this whole cookie apocalypse is that we need to start providing greater value for our audience when asking something from them, such as their phone number. So make sure you always add an incentive. And finally, don't over spam your customers. Make sure that you're sending meaningful messages. Make sure you send offers that are aligned to your overall strategy. As I said, there's not that much wrong that can go with SMS marketing. So just don't be afraid of it.
I love it. Don't be brave, everyone. Be creative and don't spam. Okay, once you've started, of course, you've got to keep optimizing. So what's your favorite way to improve SMS marketing performance?
It's a great question. One of the best ways to optimize any channel is just by tracking the main metrics that are relevant to that channel. So for SMS, 2 of my favorite metrics are the ROI and the click-through rate. The ROI is a really standard metric, so I don't want to really dive deeper into it. And there's also the ROI can be influenced by your message, but also by things like your website, your offering, so forth. But especially for the click-through rate, I think that's a really great sign of how well your SMS marketing is going. So make sure to track it. And over time, when you get more confident, make sure that you always segment your audience. So instead of sending the same message to everyone, make sure you divide your customers based on their past purchase habits, on their interests, or even when we talk about trigger-based messages, on the purchase value that they're having. So, like we all know that the most loyal customers, we have to make sure that we provide them something extra, as opposed to, the one-off customers or the ones that are just hunting for big sales.
Lovely advice. I love that you're zoning us in on those two KPIs, the ROI and the click-through rate. Because obviously, when you come across a new marketing method, it's like, oh my God, what am I supposed to be looking at? Too many numbers. Okay, if someone listening wants to learn more about SMS marketing, is there one cheap or free resource that you would recommend?
Yes, there is. There are several. One thing I really love, I have to be honest, is the SMS analyzer. If you go at yotpo.com and you just look for the SMS analyzer, you'd find it. It allows you to test your message based on 11 different characteristics, such as, if it's spammy, if it's personalized, if you have a relevant offer. And it's completely free. Like, basically, you can plug in your message. It's gonna score. It's gonna give you the relevant score. It's gonna give you all the tips that actually help you improve your message. And the other cool asset that I also really like are the A+ texts. These are text marketing examples of brands all over the world, of how they do SMS marketing, of how they're launching campaigns. I think that's a really great source of inspiration for everyone who's wondering, how is even an SMS marketing looking like? I think it's really a great place where you can actually see this in action.
And where do we find that second one?
This is also on yotpo.com.
Cool. So if we go to yotpo.com, we'll find those two resources.
Exactly.
Excellent. Love it. Finally, then, it's crystal ball time. What's coming up in the next 6 to 12 months that we should be getting ready for in SMS marketing?
I think a huge trend that's coming in SMS marketing is the whole conversation around conversational commerce. So the ability to buy within the SMS itself, the text to buy feature, and also the doubling down of businesses and also the industry on this two-way communication. So we are seeing that the great power of SMS, it's that it enables you to create this personalized connection with consumers. So really enabling more automations and more advancements into the two-way communications, like adding things like conversational commerce, where people can text back, and based on what they're texting, you kind of, can give relevant recommendations, and, even plug in AI here and there to really send recommendations that people are most likely to purchase. I think those two things are definitely gonna be the highlight in SMS.
It's going to be exciting to see how those come to bear, isn't it? But I guess the first thing everybody needs to do is to get their customers used to receiving SMS from them. And then we can build in the conversational commerce and the, actually selling via SMS, which is a super exciting space. Elena, right, we are very nearly at the end of the show. So could you please let the listeners know where they can find you and SMS Bump, please?
Yes, of course. So everyone who wants to get in touch with me and chat more on SMS marketing, you can just email me at elena@smsbump.com. If you want to learn more about SMS Bump, just visit smsbump.com, and you're going to find all relevant information that you need to learn more about SMS marketing. You're going to see some of our case studies, so hopefully you're going to get inspired. And for anything else, we are here to help as well.
Marvelous. Thank you so much, Elena. You've done a brilliant job of, I think, making SMS feel an awful lot more approachable. So I'm sure we've inspired many of the listeners to either give it a go or actually do something with their SMS setups. So thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure catching up with you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really great chatting up with you. And you're saying that you're not an SMS expert, but you knew so much about the channel. I'm really impressed.
Oh, thank you, Elena. Listeners, I am now blushing. A lot of fun catching up with Elena there. And I love how well she explained SMS. Yes, there's a lot of restrictions and you want to be careful with how with when you use it, I suppose, when you choose to send. But simply setting up those straightforward initial triggers, getting the capturing of the SMS numbers going on, and then being a little bit creative with when you choose to use it, it makes it sound like a very, very interesting channel to get to grips with, and one which I think used right is going to reap many benefits for your business and clearly there's some very cool stuff coming up in the near future. We have put links to those 2 resources that Elena mentioned, which are both on yotpo.com. And you can find out all the rest of the links that we discussed, the full transcript of the episode, our notes, and a whole host of more stuff at keepoptimizing.com. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Keep Optimizing podcast. In the next episode, we're going to be tackling the big one. We're going to be discussing the best ways to use Facebook ads for your business with all the changes that happened last year. It's an absolutely awesome must-listen episode, and I say that because I've already recorded it. My guest is brilliant. He brings so much precision to it. He is going to take you through the key campaigns you need to be running. It's literally that solid an episode. I'm really pleased with it. I know it's going to help a lot of you. So if you are still spending on Facebook ads or Instagram ads, make sure you tune in next week for that. Or if episode 82 is sitting there on your podcast player, listen right now. Please also tell your fellow marketers about the show, because I create it to help as many marketers as possible to improve the performance of their e-commerce marketing. So if you can help me spread the word, I can help ever more people. Have a great week, and make sure you listen to the next episode so I can help you to keep optimizing your marketing.
Access everything Keep Optimizing at keepoptimizing.com. That's with an S, not a Z.